Why do you think that money is so emotional for people?
Oftentimes people are filling a void.
Mm-hmm.
I have one person I know for sure that when they were a child, the comment was, we're broke, we don't have any money, we don't have money for that, we don't have money for that. Well, this particular person makes great money now.
Uh-huh.
So his philosophy is, I make great money, I'm spending it because when I was a child, I never could have it.
Yeah.
So it's emotional because now he has money.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's that.
Right. And people are tied so much
Mm-hmm.
to their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
What you do in a job is not who you are.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Oh, yes,
That's something I had to learn a really,
Yeah.
really hard way. Is God created me to be something, and it wasn't the job I decided to do day to day, right? And people get so tied in that, which is why when there is a reduction or income,
Mm-hmm.
an increase in income,
Mm-hmm.
a job loss, a layoff, a sick partner, something like that, and money becomes a hardship or a positive thing, changes your world so drastically if you're tied to it, and then it becomes super emotional.
Yes.
Yeah.
And oftentimes when they're so destitute and they're broke, they're just going to go, well, we're here, we're dirty, we're just going to keep spending. And I'm like, so my question is how's that working for you?
Yeah.
Well, it's not working. Okay, so you're stressed. She's stressed, he's stressed. The kids are stressed. And most, my clients will always say, oh, the kids don't know. They know.
They always know.
They know, even if it's an infant, they can feel it. They're stressed in the house.
Yep.
I had another client that her son, single mom, her son would not ask for things that he needed for school.
Yeah.
Because he always knew when he did ask, she would say, well, baby, mama has to wait till I get paid, or, maybe not this week, maybe next week. So he just slowly stopped asking for things.
Yeah.
And then she realized that he wasn't getting some of the things he needed.
Yeah.
And she asked him, and he said, well, Mom, when I do ask you, I can tell it upsets you, so I just don't ask you. And of course, she's, crying her eyes out.
Yeah.
And she didn't think it was affecting him, but it was.
Yeah.
And he's like 13.
Yeah. And like my son, who was 8 at the time, he's 9 now. But when I got divorced last year, and the real estate business changed drastically in a pretty negative way, most people know this in 2023, my income went down 60% personally, not including the fact that I went from a joint income household to a single income. So you can see the threshold, and then our bills doubled, right? Like I didn't have anybody to share expenses with, right? And I co-parent really beautifully with my ex-husband. And so we shared the responsibilities of our children, but it was a very tough transition of life. My kids, I needed to make sure that like day-to-day things were taken care of, and I was prepared, and I needed a longer runway for my money than I did before, because I couldn't count on 20 loans coming through my door. Right. I was getting 3 or 4 a month versus 20. So you could see it's very different from the life I was living to after the housing market started to shift. And, my kids lived a pretty glamorous life, quite honestly, before. And so when the transition happened, it was like, hey, this is just a good time for us all to reevaluate some things, reevaluate our finances and how we spend. And my children were getting to the age where it's like, it's not about give me, gotta whatnot. So I started having these conversations with, again, my 8-year-old. And at some point I realized he wasn't drinking milk at school by his lunch balance, which is the only thing my baby drinks. And I said, why aren't you getting milk? Why aren't you getting an extra milk specifically? Because like one comes with the meal, but the extra one, because he's 8 and he's a big kid. I'll probably be 6'3" when he's all said and done. And so that's like not uncommon. I have budgeted for this extra milk, the extra like 55 cents. And he said, well, I know, I just don't want to spend any money. And I instantly knew the difference between, hey, we're not going to do these big extravagant things like all weekend full of fun.
Yep.
And he somehow related that to, I can't have an extra thing of milk at school. And so when it's like we were talking about 2 very different things, but he's 8, he doesn't know.
All he knows is spending.
He said,
we have to stop spending.
That's
what he hears.
That's 8, what he heard.
Right.
Because I was trying to teach him the value of $1.
Right.
And so really, and like we caught that really carefully. And I'm like, buddy, you can like really, really quickly, but sometimes you don't catch it quickly.
Right.
And so maybe you're not in a season of children yet, but learning healthy habits now will benefit you later. For sure.
So you mentioned that, okay, we're going to start cutting back and we're not going to have long weekends of fun. Okay, so let me help you with that one.
Yeah.
People think, well, okay, well, we got to cut the fun out. We got to cut back. We got to cut. You don't have to cut the fun out.
Right.
What you want to do is change the fun. Okay. So for an example, I have a couple that they belong to have their kids go to this like a little, it's called a gym something, and then a membership to that and a membership to this and a membership to that. And I said, okay. I said, so you want to cut back on those things? I said, that's great. But I said, how about going to the park?
Yeah.
Now, of course, today it was very cold, but on the days where it's warm, get a blanket, make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, take the kids to the park. That's free. There are so many free things in this area. So people tend to think, well, okay, we got to not have fun, not eat out, not do this, not do that. Do the free stuff. The library is free. You can get movies from the library, books from the library. There's so many things you can do and things that are offered from that particular place. There's other areas in the Lafayette and surrounding areas that you can go places, ride your bike, skateboard, roller skates outside. Just do fun things. It doesn't have to cost money. And I'll tell you this right now. You can, anybody out there, ask your child. They want your time. They want your time. Yes, oftentimes you're buying them a lot of things. But at the end of the day, our daughters range in age of 42 to 24. Even at this day, they will come to me and go, Mom, I need you to look at me. I need you to pay attention to me.
Wow.
They want my time.
Yeah. And not be distracted.
So it could be something as you can print off coloring pages of the internet for free and color and drink hot cocoa with your child. They make a memory, bake a cake. You can go to the store and get a box of cake mix for 98 cents.
Yeah.
Put 2 eggs in it.
And when you reduce the spending and going and you get really intentional on your money, you get really intentional on connections.
Yes.
I learned that a lot last year as we were transitioning into it. So I share 50 custody with their daddy. And so that means that 50% of the time is all for me and 50% of the time is focused on my children. And so it did so many benefits for us. And we don't cut out nothing, but I limit what we do. And so we have like a pretty basic routine, right? We play an outside game, weather permitting, but we're here in South Louisiana, so 90% of the weather is decent. We play an outside game on Friday night. I like to listen to music. My 6-year-old loves to dance. She is good at everything and super competitive. And my 9-year-old, he's starting to like find his way. So we play cornhole, we play net games, we play ball, we throw the football. You know, we do that type of thing outside on our patio. We do one activity a weekend, which costs money, and we have a budget for that. And then we do a free activity outside of the house, like a park, like a skateboard, like a bike. So yes, I had to invest in bicycles because we didn't have that before. We lived in the country, now we're in the city. And so like now we have bicycles. We did that for their like first birthdays right away. And then then my mom bought me one for my birthday. You know, when I turned 37, she bought me a bicycle. I hadn't had one since I was 7 probably. And so we could do those types of things. And it's really changed our relationship and my time being present with them. And it changed my budget. So like win-win. So let's talk about budget. Let's talk about that B word, the B word, budget. Stop using it. Yeah. What are we calling it?
We're gonna talk about a spending plan.
Oh, I like that.
Because when people go, fine, I'm going to be on a budget, the first thing they do is like a diet. What am I giving up? What do I have to give up? So let's talk about, you don't have to give up everything. What we look at when we got all these numbers on this magical sheet of paper, what we look at is, where are we going to start spending our money? What's most important? Because where we're at now doesn't work. We are not happy. We're stressed. We're arguing. We're losing sleep. We're drinking a lot of coffee trying to figure this out.
Right. And like you can't outwork that. Right. We literally have to look at the numbers.
You have to look at the numbers, and then you have to sit and say, what changes? Now, you as a single person, you could sit alone, or we could sit together, you know, because somebody on the outside of the box is going to see things you either don't see or you don't want to see because you don't want to admit it. It's admitting it. Okay, so that's how I did mine years ago. That's how I did mine. It started with a storage unit. That's a whole nother story. But it started with that. And so looking at it, you're like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And so you're not going to sit and blame and shame yourself. No. What you're going to do is go, okay, this is not working. Yep. I'm not happy. We are not happy. What can we do to make things better for our lives? What are we willing to back off on to put ourselves in a better position, not only for ourselves as a married couple or a single mom, so that my children can have that 55 cents for that second carton of milk. Yeah. And not be pressured. And also watching what you say in front of the kids. Mm-hmm. Please don't say, we can't afford that. Right. We don't have the money for that, because that is almost like ingrained in stone. Yeah. What I did with my kids when they were your age, what I said was, when we go grocery shopping, they would say, hey, can we get this? Can we get that? Oh, honey, it's not on the grocery list this week, but I tell you what, Mom didn't plan for that. But I tell you what we do. When we get home and make the list for next week, let's go ahead and add that on for next week. You good? Yeah. Because they could read. If they were younger and they couldn't read, I would just say, oh, it's not on the list. But when they learn to read, they can see. Yeah. So then I started having them help me make the list. Yeah. Also, your kids are 9 and 6. 9 and 6. You're planning something for the weekend. Okay. Let's say what you're going to spend for the weekend is $30. Mm-hmm. Okay. Have them go online. You guys do it as a family. Google and say, okay, lay it on the table. Put the money on the table. Right. Show them what $30 looks like. Yeah. And say, we get to spend this much. Where can we go? And you're helping your budget, and you're also helping teach your children mm-hmm. how to be wiser with their money. How to be wiser. And you're teaching them at a younger age the emotion, because we did this when our kids, when they were younger, they would earn money. Yep. And then we'd go to the store, and we started teaching them at a very young age, need, want. Mm-hmm. Okay. You need toilet paper. You want a new toy. Yep. So then we would make them bring their own money. Yep. So they would check out, and they didn't always realize taxes. Yeah. So I have $10 and the toy's $9.99. Yep. And I tried to explain it, but when they didn't have enough money, they started realizing that they had to put stuff back. Because, well, Mom, can you? Nope. Mom did spot. Now, is Mom standing back there holding every teardrop mm-hmm. in her eyes because all her baby needs is 64 cents? Yes. But they have to learn. They have to learn, because as an adult, when we go to the grocery store, my mama don't stand behind me no more. My mama and daddy are not going, oh, I got you covered. Here's your 64 cents. Now it's like, what don't I? What can I? Yeah. What do we need? Yeah. What did I want that was pretty and on sale? That's kind of what we're doing. So when the children start learning that at a younger age, now the next thing to do is, when you take them out, give them the money. Right. And when there's time to pay, let them pay. Yeah. So they feel it leave in the hands and get the change. And then when they go to the next adventure, go eat out or whatever it is, and they say, oh, well, I want a hot chocolate and a cookie. Well, I want a hot chocolate and cookie. Okay, well, that's $15.37. Well, all they have left is $10.17. Yeah.